Good morning.
Morning.
We're in Tamid, Perek Aleph, Mishnah Dalet. And today's shir is Le'ili Nishmas Mrs. Zabrowski's father, Reb Tzvi Ben Meir, who was a Kohen. And according to Mrs. Zabrowski's message to me, he was known as the Kohen Gadol of Elizabeth. So we're learning Tamid, Le'ili Nishmas, a Kohen, Reb Tzvi Reb Meir, should have an Aliyas Neshama, should be a Melitz Yosin Shemayim for his family and for all of Klal Yisrael.
Amen.
We're working through the first avoda of the Kohen in the Beis Hamikdash, early morning, could have even been done at night. Trumas Hadeshin, removing a certain amount, shears, a kometz, whatever that is, removing a certain amount of ash from the top of the Mizbeach. And we're going to learn more about this Trumas Hadeshin today. What we know about it so far is that they selected the Kohen who would do the Trumas Hadeshin that day through a pious, through a lottery system. We learned yesterday about the history. Originally, it wasn't a lottery system. Originally, there were 3 lotteries in the Beis Hamikdash in order to divide which Kohen would do what that day. But for the Trumas Hadeshin, which was very early in the morning, they would have the Kohanim that were interested in doing it. They would have a race to the top of the Mizbeach. And we learned about 2 unfortunate incidents where one Kohen pushed another Kohen off the ramp, and a further unbelievable incident where one Kohen stabbed the other Kohen so that he can be able to do the Trumas Hadeshin. When Chazal saw that this was getting dangerous, so they instituted a 4th lottery. There were already 3 lotteries by which the avoda was divided. They now instituted a 4th, and the 4th one is the Trumas Hadeshin. And we learned about the lottery in the Beis Hamoked, according to the Rambam in the Lishkas Hagazid. The Kohanim that were interested, they went down to the mikveh in the Beis Hamoked, under the Beis Hamoked. They toveled, they came up. The supervisor of the pious came into the Beis Hamoked, took off someone's hat. That's where he started counting. The Kohanim that were interested put out their fingers, and he counted fingers. Originally, he just said an arbitrary number. He saw, let's say, 15 Kohanim, he'd say 74 or 89, whatever it was. He took off one Kohen's hat, and he walked around them, and he counted fingers. And if he forgot where he started from and needed to start again, he knew that he had to start again with the Kohen that didn't have his hat on. He got to the Kohen that won. That Kohen is now going to do the Trumas Hadeshin. He left from the southern door of the Beis Hamoked, diagram 3. Remember, the Beis Hamoked is a large room. Part of it is built over the Chayil, which means it doesn't have the holiness of the Azorah. And part of the room is in the Azorah. The northern half, the northern part of the chamber of the Beis Hamoked is in the Chayil and not Kedushas Azorah, and therefore you can sit there. The southern part, the part that goes into the Azorah, has Kedushas Azorah, and you can sit there. So the Kohen would now leave through the southern door, and the southern door of the Beis Hamoked now allows him to enter the Azorah. And at the end of yesterday, we learned that when the Kohen left the Azorah, we saw Tamid diagram 2. When he left the Azorah, 2 groups of Kohanim followed him. Each group had a torch, and they basically, one of them made a right turn, one group made a right turn, one group made a left turn. They walked all around. One group went to the right, one group went to the left, and they met right at Shar Nicanor at the Lishkat Osei Chavitin, where the Kohen Gadol's 12 challahs were made, and they greeted each other by saying, "Shalom get the exact words in Mishnah Gimel, Shalom, Hakol Shalom. The reason why they split into two groups and went around the Azara is to make sure that all the Kalim were in place and that they can begin the Avoda and run through it efficiently without someone saying, can someone check to see if we have XYZ in the stock room? That's not the way the Avoda goes in the Beis HaMikdash. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4 in an order efficiently, as if, not as if, but you're serving the Ribono Shel Olam, you're serving the Master King. So they would do this examination, and that's what we were up to yesterday. The one thing we didn't explain, we said we'd come back to it today, is the Mishnah Gimel. The Mishnah talks about Achsadra, the two groups of Kohanim that came out of the southern door of the Beis HaMoked. Remember, we said that they didn't open the door, the southern door of the Beis HaMoked is 20 amos high, 10 amos wide. Every opening on the Har HaBayis, every opening in the Azorah is 20 by 10, with the exception of the opening of the Ulam, the rectangular building, which was double the size, 20 wide, 40 high. But except for the Ulam, all entrances, all openings are 20 high, 10 wide. They did not open that big door, the southern door, to go into the Azorah at this point. They opened a pishpesh, a small door built into the big door, and they opened that small door, and through that small door they went into the Azorah. We explained yesterday why they didn't open the large door, because the doors were not open until the full Avoda was ready to be done, and the door that needed to be open was the door right here to the Heichal. Once that door was opened at the Heichal, they began opening the rest of the doors. So they didn't open the big door on the southern side of the Beis HaMoked, the one that's 20 by 10. They opened a little door inside this big door, and the two groups of Kohanim, one went to the right, one went to the left. They examined the Azorah. There is an Achsadra. An Achsadra basically means, for our purposes, a hallway. All along the Azorah, inside the Azorah, all along the walls of the Azorah, they would put best way to call it maybe a beam, but it probably was circular, the kinds of things that you see in the old city. And it was made out of stone. And on top of these pillars of stone, they built a roof of stone. And the roof connected into the wall of the Azorah. This dark black wall that I'm pointing to, that goes all around the Azorah, is the wall of the Azorah. Several amos into the Azorah, they put up these pillars of stone. On top of the pillar of stone, they put a roof of stone that was held up by the pillar and the wall of the Azorah. And under this roof, there's now like a hallway. And it's through that hallway that these Kohanim walked either to the right or to the left. They walked under this hallway, and they examined the whole Azorah to make sure all the Kalim were in its place. The Kohen, who's going to do the Trumas Hadeshen, he left through the door, and he's going to go directly towards the Mizbeach, and that's what we're going to learn about today. This Kohen who won the lottery, he's headed out towards the Mizbeach. What does he do to do the Trumas Hadeshen? Trumas Hadeshen is done every single day or right before the day starts. We learned about that before or after Kriyas HaGever. So now we're on page 7 in your Mishnayos. We're going to go from page 7 to page 8. Mi shezocha litrom et hamizbeach, the person that was zocha, he won the lottery, and he is going to be torem the mizbeach. He's going to take a little of the ash off, the Trumas Hadeshen. Who yitom es hamizbeach? He is the only one that does it. What the Mishnah is emphasizing here is something we're going to learn about in a few lines. he is the one that's turning the Mizbeach, and no other Kohen was permitted to escort him to do this. He had to go from the Beis Hamoked back to diagram 3. He went from the Beis Hamoked, left through the southern door. There are other Kohanim going all around checking for the Kalim, but he's going directly towards the Mizbeach. What's important to notice right now is as he leaves the Beis Hamoked and goes towards the Mizbeach, there are 2 major areas he's going to pass through. This area, okay, this area and this area. That's one area. The ulam wings, the rectangular wings, the wings that stick out. Remember, we learned about the heichal. The ulam is 100 wide. The heichal is 70 wide, and it was done that way because the building is called in the Nevi'im Ariel. It's like a lion, and a lion's head is wide in the front, and his body narrows to the back. So the front of this structure in the Azorah is wide in the front, narrow in the back to give it the look of a lion. So this is 100 wide. This is the Mizbeach. There's a distance between the Ulam and the Mizbeach. From the Mizbeach until you get to the Ulam, we learned is 22 amos. 22 amos from the Ulam to the Mizbeach. We know that part of those 22 amos were made up of 12 steps, and we went through that in Maseches Tamid. But if we just ignore the steps for now, from the western wall of the Mizbeach until you got to the entrance of the Ulam was 22 amos. Part of the 22 amos was taken up with these steps. This is a very distinct area in halacha. This is called Bein HaUlam La Mizbeach, between the Ulam and the western wall of the Mizbeach. When you go here, you're in the wing of the Ulam now. This wing of the Ulam is now between the Ulam and the Ram. So we're talking about 2 distinct areas between the Ulam and the Mizbeach, which is 32 by 32. And then there's an area over here where there's no Mizbeach. Follow me, please. There's no Mizbeach here. Mizbeach ends here. This whole area is between the Ulam and the Mizbeach. At this point, there's 22 amos between the Ulam and the Mizbeach. Then the Mizbeach ends, and you have the Ram. This area is called between the Ulam and the Ram. And halachically speaking, we're going to learn about that in a moment. The Kedusha between the Ulam and the actual Mizbeach is equal to the Kedusha between the Ulam and the Ram. What is the Kedusha? The Kedusha is that a Kohen that is not involved in any avoda may not walk in this area at all. If a Kohen is involved in an avoda, he's allowed to walk here for the purpose of the avoda. But a Kohen who's not doing any avoda, he can't just prance around the Azorah wherever he wants. He can walk here in the Beis HaMikvahim, he can walk near the Mizbeach, but once he gets past the Mizbeach and he's between the Mizbeach and the Ulam, or between the ramp and the Ulam, this whole area here, Bein Ulam la Mizbeach, Bein Kevesh la Mizbeach, he may not walk there unless he's involved in the avoda. Therefore, when the Kohen who won the lottery to do Trumas Hadeshin, he's going to leave through the southern door of the Beis Hamoked. He's going to walk bein ulam lamizbeach. He's going to walk between the ramp and the mizbeach. And he can do that because he's going to do the avodah of Trumas Hadeshin. But he can't be escorted by any other Kohen because then they're not doing any avodah right now. So that's why the Mishnah is going to emphasize that this Kohen who's going to do the Trumas Hadeshin walk to the Mizbeach by himself. So again, Mishnah Dalet, Mi shezoch litrum es hamizbeach, the person who won the lottery, and he has the privilege and the honor to do the Trumas Hadeshin. Hu yitrom es hamizbeach, he is the one that takes off the Trumas Hadeshin, and nobody goes with him. V'heim omrim lo. Now the problem here is that since he's not being escorted by anyone, this may be a Kohen who's doing the Trumas Hadeshin for the first time in his life. He may have done it before. Remember that all these avodas, every 24 weeks a different mishmar comes. And this Kohen may have not been, he's here this week, he hasn't been here for 24 weeks. And the last time he was here 24 weeks ago, he may have not done the Trumas Hadeshin. He may have not won the lottery. He may have never done the Trumas Hadeshin. So they need, before he goes out into the Azorah, towards the Mizbeach, they need to remind him of certain things because he has no escort to help him remember to do certain things. So they need to tell him certain things before he goes out on his own towards the Mizbeach. Heim omrim lo, and they say to him, Hizoher, be careful, shematiga bakeli, you may touch a vessel on your way towards the Mizbeach. There are vessels already out, ready for the avodah. Be careful, don't even touch a vessel. And this has nothing to do with Tum and Tahara. Remember, this Kohen, in order to win the lottery, he first had to be eligible for the lottery. To be eligible for the lottery, while he was in the Beis Hamoked, before the lottery, he went down the steps and went to a mikveh. So he just toiveled in a mikveh. The reason we tell him, don't touch any kalim, is because since no one's escorting him, if he begins touching some kalim, he may forget and begin doing some avoda with the kalim. He may pick up a keli and do something with it. And he's not allowed to do anything with any of the kalim, again, not because of Tumah Tahara, but because he's by himself, very early morning, and he simply may forget. He may have never done the Trumas Hadeshin. He may be a new Kohen, recently certified, and he's going to go off and pick something up and do something. And it's a Issa D'Oraisa to do any avoda before you wash your hands and your feet from the kiyah. If you take a look, again at diagram 3, at the Mizbeach, you see on the southern side you have 2 circles. These circles are the kiyar. The kiyar and the bar, the pit in which they lowered the kiyar, which we'll learn about again today. We learned about in Maseches Tamid. But he leaves the Beis Hamoked southern door. He's going to walk through bein ulam lamizbeach, bein kevesh lamizbeach, and before he can do any avoda, he has to wash his hands and his feet, even though he was toivel in the mikveh just a few minutes before. No avoda is permitted until rechitzas yadayim v'raglayim from the kiyar, and that's a pasuk in Parshas Kisitza. It says, "V'rochatzu Aaron uvanim menos yadayim v'raglayim," and a kohen that violates this prohibition and does avoda in the Beis Hamikdash without kiddush, he went to the mikveh, but he didn't do the biblically required kiddush yadayim v'raglayim. The Torah says he's chayav misa b'dei shemayim. He's chayav the heavenly death. So we warn him, since he's not going to be escorted, we say to him, "He's zoher, be careful. Shematiga bakeli, don't touch any vessel, lest you come to do some avoda. Ad shetekadesh yodecha v'raglecha min hakiyar, until you sanctify your hands and your feet from the kiyar." And they continue explaining what he needs to know. Again, he may have never done it. He may have done it only several years ago. So they tell him, Hare hamachta nesuna b'miksoa. And let me tell you, the folks tell him, the Kohanim tell him, where the special shovel is that you're going to use to take some ash off the Mizbeach. Bein hakevesh lemizbeach b'ma'rovo shel kevesh. So let's go back to our diagram 3. Back to Masech Tamidos. The Mizbeach is 32 by 32. The ramp is 32 amos high, but it's only 16 amos wide. So the Mizbeach from east to west is 32. The ramp east to west is only 16, which means if the Mizbeach is 32, the ramp is 16, that leaves the Mizbeach 16 amos wider than the ramp. And since the ramp is put in the center of the Mizbeach, that leaves 8 amos to the western side of the Mizbeach and 8 amos to the eastern side of the Mizbeach where there was no ramp. So you have 8 amos on each side of the ramp that the ramp did not occupy. So there's empty 8 amos, empty 8 amos. And the Mishnah now tells us that the designated place for this silver shovel is Miksoa Bein HaKevesh LeMizbeach, in a corner between the ramp and the Mizbeach. The ramp is here, Mizbeach is here, and there's a space of 8 amos. B'ma'aravo shel kevesh, the western side of the ramp. The ramp has 2 sides, the western side and the eastern side. The shovel's place is right here on the western side of the ramp, in that 8 amos opening that was left between the Mizbeach and the ramp. It's on the left side, it's on the western side of the ramp. And now the Mishnah explains, as we just mentioned, Ein Adam Nichnas Imo. No one can go with him towards the Mizbeach to do the Trumas Hadeshin. Nobody can even accompany him, because a Kohen that's not involved in the Avoda cannot enter that place known as Bein Ulam LeMizbeach. Here, the Kohen can't walk here unless he's involved in Avoda, and he can't walk here between the Ulam and the ramp unless he's involved in the Avoda. So the person who won the lottery is going to go here by himself. And the next thing he has to do before he's going to go up the ramp and do Trumas Hadeshin is going to have to wash his hands and his feet from the kiyah. Ein Adam Nichnas Imo. Nobody entered with him. V'lo ner biyodo. And this Kohen who won the lottery, it's pitch dark. It may even be still nighttime or maybe dawn. V'lo ner biyodo. He has no candle or torch in his hand. Ela mahalach or hamaracha. The only light he has is the fire burning on the Mizbeach, and he's walking towards the Mizbeach. And the reason he didn't hold the torch in his hand is because he had no place to put the torch. Once he gets close to the Mizbeach, he has to wash his hands and his feet. And the way you wash your hands and your feet for Kiddush Yadayim V'Glaim is you put your right hand on your right foot and your left hand on your left foot, and he has no hands to hold any torch. So therefore, he did not have a torch. And he walked towards the Mizbeach, and the light that he had was the light of the fire on the Mizbeach. Lahoyuro, and also, other Kohanim, there were still Kohanim in the Beis Hamoked. The Beis Hamoked is filled with the Kohanim who came last night and who designated to do work today. 24 mishmaros. Every mishmar is broken into 6 days. And today is Thursday. A whole group of Kohanim came last night, and they're going to do the Avodah on Thursday. Some of them have left the Beis Hamoked, gone to the right and gone to the left to check to see if all the kalim are in the proper place. One Kohen won the lottery. He's on his way to the Mizbeach. The remaining Kohanim that are still in the Beis Hamoked, lo hayaron also. It was not possible for them to see what he was doing. V'lo shom kolo, they didn't hear any noise coming from him. And the reason is simple. The Beis Hamoked is right here. They're inside the Beis Hamoked. Even if you open the door of the Beis Hamoked, the Kohen that's going to do the Trumas Hadeshin is over here. From here to here, there's the Ulam building, the stairs, etc. You can't see from here to here. You can't see what he's doing. You don't know what he's up to. And it's important to know when he does the Trumas Hadeshin, because as soon as he does the Trumas Hadeshin, we can usher in the day of Avod in the Beis Hamikdash. So how did they know when he was done? Again, this is the Beis Hamikdash. Simple question. How did they know when he was done? When he finished the Trumas Hadeshin, he took a walk back from the Mizbeach to the Beis Hamoked, and he said, listen, I just finished. That's not the way Avoda works in the Beis Hamikdash. It's chick-chock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It is done as, not as, again, you're working in God's palace. Things are done in a systematic way, chick-chock. When A is finished, B starts. And that's the way the Avoda operates. So how did they know when he's done with his Trumas Hadeshin or he's almost done with his Trumas Hadeshin? So it says, they couldn't see him and they couldn't hear anything. Ad sheshomim kol ha'etz, until they heard the sound of a piece of wood. She'asa ben katin muchni lakir. We learned about this in Masech Midos. Ben Katin, name of a person, he made a muchni. He made sort of a pulley system. Show you the picture. We had this picture in Masech Midos. I'll show you one from Masech Tamid. We didn't send it out, but this is the Masech Tamid picture. You see the Kohen. He's already got the ash in his shovel. We'll forget that for a moment. Here is the kiyar. And this is a separate bore that's filled with water. Before Ben Katan made this system over here, this muchni, yes, this picture is in the book that has been ordered. Ben Katan made this system here. Why did he make this system? Because before there's a bore, before there's this pit filled with water, or there is this pulley system, the kiyar was filled with water. As the day went on and different kohanim had to do avoda, they came and they washed their hands and feet from the various faucets. There were 12 faucets. And again, that's something then that Ben Katan did. Originally, there were only 2 faucets, and he installed 10 more. So it became 12 faucets, so that 12 kohanim at any one time can wash their hands and their feet. This is filled with a lot of water. The kiyar is a clay kodesh. It's a holy vessel of the Beis Hamikdash. The halacha is when you put something into a holy vessel, whatever you put in there, we're not going to get into whatever. For our purposes, we're thinking about this simple. You put flour in it, you put water in it, the flour becomes hektish, the water becomes hektish. The sanctity of the keli goes to what you put in it. So when they filled the kiyar with water, the water became sanctified water. Once you have sanctified water, there's something in the Beis Hamikdash, we learned about this in Masech Midas, there's something in the Beis Hamikdash called a psul lina. If something sleeps over, so to speak, lina, lan, it stays overnight. When the morning comes, the water or the flour can't be used. It's a psul lina. So the way the kiyar used to operate is that there was no pit here that was filled with water. There was no pulley system. And every night, whatever water was left in the kiyar, it's a machlokas and Maseches Zvachim at what point Lina, the psul of sleeping over, triggered. We're going to use the simple sheet. At Shkia of a particular day, whatever water was still left in here became puzzle. You couldn't use the water anymore. So what did you do with the water? You spilled it out. Well, Ben Katan, who was a great tzaddik, he was a Kohen, he did not like this idea at all. That water that became sanctified in the kiyar, at the end of the day, you're going to pour it out on the floor, wherever you're going to pour it out. He didn't feel that was proper. So how do you avoid a psulina? If you take the water, you take the whole kiyar with whatever water is left in there, and you can put it into what we'll call now a mikveh. You take the whole keli and you immerse it into a mikveh. The keli and the water are now attached to a mikveh, and the water that's in the kiyar doesn't become puzzle from lina because the water is now attached to the pure water of a mikveh. So when the bar wasn't here, whatever water was left in the kiyar at shkia, you poured out. Ben Katan didn't like that idea. He created this system. At the end of the day, you would put a rope around the kiyar. You would lift it up with this wooden pole, lift it up like a pulley system, lift it up, and then lower it into the bar. And then the next day you can lift it up and use the water because the water did not become puzzle because it was immersed in the pure water of a mikveh. So how did they know that the Kohen is in the middle or actually about to do Trumas Hadeshin? Because he couldn't do the Trumas Hadeshin until he first washed his hands and his feet. But he can't wash his hands and his feet because where's the kiyar? When the Kohen gets to the Mizbeach in the morning and wants to do the Trumas Hadeshin, where's the kiyar? It's immersed deep in the bar from the night before. He can't use the kiyar. So what does he have to do? He has to put his hands on this wood and turn it round and round and round and round and round until the kiyar comes up out of its water. He puts it here, lowers it to here, and then he can wash his hands and his feet. That's the process that the Mishnah is now describing. Lo hayu rono, so they couldn't see the Kohen. V'lo shom meskolo, they couldn't hear anything going on, and therefore they didn't know where he was holding. How did they know? Ad sheshomim kol ha'et she'asef ben kotin muchni lakir. When he started pulling up that wooden pole, it made a tremendous amount of noise. Remember the old systems where you pulled up a pulley system, and you pulled it up and pulled it up and pulled it up, and you cranked it, and the cranking made noise. And as he's cranking up the kiyar, it's making a tremendous amount of noise. And now they knew that the kiyar was about to come up from the bar, and in the next few seconds, he's going to wash his hands and his feet and do Trumas Hadeshin. Amazingly, this is one of the cases that the Gemara in Yuma tells us it was a miracle. There were certain things that were done in the Beis Hamikdash that you were either able to hear or smell all the way to Yericho. Now, Yericho is a nice distance from Yerushalayim. According to the measurements in Chazal, the distance between Yericho and Yerushalayim is 10 parsa. It's a huge distance. This was one of the miracles that you were able to hear the muchni, you were able to hear the pulley lifting up the kiyar all the way to Yericho. So in the Beis Hamikdash, the Kohanim who are still in the Beis Hamokeh, they can hear this pulley going up, and they now have a signal that Trumas Hadeshin is about to start. Vehen Omrim, the bottom of page 8, Vehen Omrim, and the Kohanim who are in the Beis Hamokeh, now that they hear the sound of that pulley, they say to each other, Higia Eis, the time has come. The time has come where the Kohen who's doing the Trumas Hadeshin is about to wash his hands and his feet, and now we in the Beis Hamokeh need to be ready to leave the Beis Hamokeh and to begin the avoda, which will be discussed in the next parak of Tamid. We're continuing now with this Kohen who's doing the Chumas Hadeshin, and we are on page 8. And now we're going to turn to page 9. Notal machtas hakesef. He washed his hands and his feet. He went up the ramp. He took the silver shovel. V'olarosh hamizbeach. He went up the ramp. He got to the top of the mizbeach. Upina es hagacholam helef v'helef v'chosamin ham ukolis hapnimius. He pushed aside with the shovel the top coals, the top burnt material, because what he wanted to do is the halacha is trumas hadeshin. You want ash. You don't want to remove fire coals from the mizbeach. In fact, it's a prohibition. It's a biblical prohibition to remove coals from the mizbeach. So he took the shovel, pushed the top of the fire to each side, those burning coals, because he doesn't want to remove a coal, and he wants to get below all those coals to the ash itself. V'chosa minham ukolos hapnimius. And he now shoveled out from the inside burnt up ash. Now I'm going to emphasize that we shouldn't make a mistake here and think that he's digging up ash from wood. We're going to learn later in the Maseches that there were 3 ma'arachos, there were 3 places on top of the Mizbeach where there were fires. And the fires were started really with wood. I don't want anyone to think that the Kohen is taking a shovel full of ash that came from wood. The mitzvah was, and we learned this out from a pasuk in Parshas Tzav, to take ash that came from the carbon olah. So he's looking not to take burnt wood or coals from burnt wood. He's looking for ash that's deep inside, that's completely burnt up, that was part of the carbon olah. V'yorad, he now goes down the ramp. Higia l'ritzpa, he now is back on the floor of the Azara. Hafach ponav l'tzafon, he turned his face to the north. We'll take a look at our diagram 3 in a moment. Halach l'mizracho shel kevesh, and now he walks on the southern side of the ramp, Ke'eser amos, approximately 10 amos on the eastern side of the ramp. Tzavar es hagacholim al gabi haritzba, he emptied the shovel from the ash on the floor of the Azara. Rachok min hakevesh shlosha tfachim, approximately 3 tfachim from the ramp itself. Let's take a look at our diagram 3. We're at the Mizbeach. He's washed his hands and his feet at the kiyar, and that's why your diagram 3 has 2 circles. One is the kiyar and one is the bor that Ben Katni made. We learned a few minutes ago that the shovel was on the western side of the ramp. The shovel was here. The Kohen took the shovel, walked up the ramp of the Mizbeach, got to the top of the ramp, moved the top coals so that he can get deep underneath to the burning ash. He walks down the ramp. When he walks down the ramp, he is facing what direction? You can see in your picture, Durham. The Kohen is walking down the ramp and his face is towards the south. So the Mishnah now says he's down the ramp and now he turns his face northward. And now he's going to the western side of the ramp. He got the shovel on the eastern side of the ramp, right here, walked up the Mizbeach, and as he's walking up the Mizbeach, he's facing north. He turns around, walks down the Mizbeach, he's facing south, turns around, and he's now facing north again. And he's going to walk in this area on the eastern side of the ramp. He got the shovel on the western side. He shoveled the ash, and now he's on the eastern side of the ramp. And you can see right there in your picture, if you can read the words, it says there, Beis Hadeshen, the place where the ash was put. And that's where he put the ash. As the Mishnah describes it, it's approximately 3 tefachim, about a foot or a little more than a foot away from the ramp. Right here, here's the ramp. Here's the eastern side of the ramp. About a foot or a little more than a foot away from the ramp, there was a Beis Hadeshen. There was the place where the ash was deposited. And it says that it's 10 amos from the beginning of the ramp. So we learned that the ramp is 32 amos long. So he's on the eastern side of the ramp with his shovel and ash. He walks 10 amos on the eastern side. So now he's 22 amos away from the Mizbeach. This whole ramp is 32. He walked 10 amos on the eastern side of the ramp, stopped. Between that point and the Mizbeach is 22 amos, so he stopped at 10 amos. And right here is the Beis Hadeshen, 3 tefachim, again about a foot away from the ramp. He deposited the ash into this place called Beis Hadeshen. And with that, he finished the avoda of Trumas Hadeshen. The Mishnah now continues. Makom, what this Beis Hadeshen, where the Kohen deposits every morning the ash, there were other things deposited in this place. Makom shenosnim muras ha'ov. Some karbonas can be brought as pigeons, birds, certain kinds of birds. Particularly an ola. An ola can be brought through a bird, special kind, let's call it a pigeon. So at the top of the Mizbeach, the Kohen, you didn't shech a bird, not in the Beis HaMikdash. For a korban, you did something called malika, a very complicated avoda, where he severed the neck of the pigeon using his nail, his thumbnail, which the Kohen kept sharp. The certain insides of this bird offering would have to be put in this Beis Hadeshen as well. So that's another use of the Beis Hadeshen. Mokem shenosnim muros ha'om. The skin of the bird, the insides of the bird, deposited in this Beis Hadeshen. V'dishun mizbeach hapnimi. The inside mizbeach, remember, midos. There are 2 altars in the Beis HaMikdash. The outer altar, which means it's outside the Heichal. It's in the Azorah, but outside the Heichal, and that is for karbanos, animal offerings. In the Heichal, menorah southern wall, shulchan northern wall, and a small mizbeach, which we call mizbeach hapnimi, the inside mizbeach, because it was inside the Heichal, and that was used for ketores every day. Don't get that confused with the ketores of Yom Kippur. That was in the Kodesh Kadoshim. But ketores every day was brought on this small mizbeach. And every day they went into this. The Kohen who got the privilege of doing that avoda, he would go into the Heichal and clean off the top of this mizbeach in preparation to bring new ketores, incense for that day. What did they do with the shoveled coals or burnt incense from the day before? They bring it out and put it in the Beis Hadeshen. V'hamenorah. The menorah, southern wall of the Heichal. Every day it had to be cleaned out in order to prepare it to light the menorah again. Clean it out from its old wicks, clean it out from any ash. Where did they take these old wicks and ash? They took it out of the Heichal and brought it to the Beis Hadeshen. So the Beis Hadeshen has 4 uses. One is for the Trumas Hadeshen, the ash that was removed from the outer Mizbeach every morning. The second, in the event that there was an Ola that was brought as a pigeon, The insides of that Ola would be put in this base Hadeshin as well, 2. 3, when they cleaned off the Mizbeach every day, the inner Mizbeach from the ash or the incense of the day before, they would bring that to this base Hadeshin, 3. And the menorah, number 4. When they cleaned out the menorah from old wicks or ash, they brought it to the base Hadeshin. The Gemara says that there was a miracle in this base Hadeshin, which you can see again in diagram 3, this base Hadeshin on the eastern side of the ram. As they deposited what the last 3 things in the Mishnah, the insides of a bird offering, the coals that came from the inner Mizbeach, or the wicks, ash that came from the menorah, they deposited this in the base Hadeshin, and it would disappear. The Gemara says it was nivla b'karka, because otherwise you're dealing with a dump, chas v'sholom. Every day you keep on putting more and more ash and more insides of bird carbonas, and there can be a foul odor, on top of which the thing eventually fills up, and what are you going to do with it after it fills up? So Gemara in Yuma says that a miracle happened, and it was nivla b'makomo. It was absorbed sort of into the ground and disappeared into the ground. So there was nothing in there every day. Rashi holds in his Pirush al Torah and in Masechta Yuma that the 4th thing that this was used for, which is what we're learning about the Trumas Hadeshin, that when they Kohen put the ash of the Mizbeach every morning into this base Hadeshin, it also absorbed miraculously into the ground. So Rashi, although the Gemara talks about 3 things that absorbed into the ground, the menorah, the Mizbeach HaKtores, and the insides of a pigeon offering, Rashi says the nest included the Trumas Hadeshin. After our Kohen, who won the lottery, did the Trumas Hadeshin, he put the deshin in the base Hadeshin. He put the deshin in the base Hadeshin, and then he took the shovel that's now empty, and where did he put the shovel? On the western side of the ram. So the next morning, the next Kohen can find the shovel where it belongs on the western side of the ram. The shovel is on the western side of the ram. The Kohen went up the ram and took down ash, came down the ram, went to the western side of the ram and deposited the ash into the base Hadeshin. He then walked to the western side of the ram and now put the empty shovel back in its place on the western side of the ram. And that is the avoda of Trumas Hadeshin that began the day in the Beis Hamikdash. And Baruch Hashem, this week we finished Tamid Perek Aleph. We're now up to Tamid Perek Beis. Bli Neder will begin next week. And Bezrat Hashem, hopefully we're going to work towards being able to make a siyum on Masechta Tamid during the 9 days. Haba Aleinu, that it should be with Mashiach Tzidkenu.